everyone, Roy Shepard here, and today we're gonna do something fun. So I was doing my taxes, and suddenly I realized that many parts of our society, many entities are, I should say, take a bite out of my time and money. All those entities like banks and medical insurance, all these people who are almost mindless drones are trying to take our money and our time. So then I realized that this is exactly like all those TV shows, all those movies about zombies. And that's probably why we like them so much, because we actually feel like we're living in a society of zombies. All these mindless people who are working a job they hate and doing the same routine over and over and over. And all those people who are addicted to social media, and every day they are stalking their screen all the time and walking like, like zombies basically. So we feel as if we're already living in a society of zombies, and that is probably why it's so popular. So what would happen? What would we do in case we're in an actual zombie outbreak? And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what would you do in case of a zombie outbreak. If it was real, logically, the body needs sustenance, needs nourishment to survive. So we need, so the zombies would basically, even though they're eating flesh and all that, they don't drink any water, and their organs don't really work. So nourishment doesn't get to their organs, to their body. So the meat rottens, and all the bacteria inside is eating them from the inside. So if you think it logically, after about 2 weeks, their entire body would decompose, and there would be nothing but a puddle left on the ground. But if we take all the sciencey stuff aside, let's see what would we actually do in case of an outbreak similar to the one in the Walking Dead. Okay, so let's get right down to it. So let's first break down the different stages of an event such as this. And the first part is basically waiting out the jams, I call it. It's at the beginning. If something like this happens, of course, it's going to take some time and the news coverage until it becomes a real epidemic. Most people would not believe something is happening. But once they do, once entire society would realize something like this happened, most unprepared people would panic. And this means they will put all their belongings on their car, get their family, and out they go, trying to escape major population areas. And this means the entire infrastructure, the entire highway system will be packed and jammed completely. Think rush hour times 1,000, and that's pretty much a buffet for all the zombies. Zombies would go there and start infecting, and the people inside of the cars would get infected and try and infect their families, and it will spread like wildfire. So the first thing that we have to do is stay in our homes and bug in for about a week or two until everything settles down. And while we are doing that, it's really important to be as stealthy as possible, which means shutting down and barricading the doors, barricading the windows, shutting all the light sources, and being really quiet, especially at night when sound carries even further. So the next step, after about 2 weeks or so, we need to start planning our bugging out. We need to pack all our gears, take everything, every necessity that we have. We need to have everything on our back ready for going out. And while we are going out toward our bug out location, which we planned in advance, of course, we have to be very careful with our team. We have to send some sort of a reconnaissance unit, 1 or 2 persons to go and see if each one of the checkpoints that you set up along the way is clear, and only then signal the other, the rest of the group to meet in the rally points and move forward toward the safe house, toward the bug out location. Once you get there, hopefully it's not devastated already, but either way you have to clear it out, clear the inside and the outside of the compound that you chose as a bug out location, and make sure that everything is safe, and then start settling in. Once you're in the compound and everything is secure, you need to start preparing your homestead. You need to prepare first according to the priorities. So shelter, safety, then warmth, some sort of a fire or some sort of a heat source, especially in cold areas, then water and food. After you have all this covered, you need to start setting up the compound for anything else that you want. For example, set up an electrical system, solar system, wind power generator, and then irrigation system, compost, setting up fertilization for the fields, setting up a greenhouse for vegetables, setting up a garden, and so on and so forth. After you have all this done, of course, you need to set up the perimeter, fences and anti-zombie and anti-hostile humans, defenses around the compound, guard posts, and so on and so forth. The next stage is when things start to settle down and everything becomes more or less a routine. Sooner or later, communities will start to pop up. Communities of people would gather together, gather their resources and start living as a community. And we have to start, looking for and hearing them on the ham radio or any communication device, and get together with other people, other like-minded people, and become part of a community. Now, as a prepper, as someone who has practiced these disciplines and practiced these techniques, you have a lot to offer. But be humble about it. Don't be a show-off, and show them what they're lacking. Show them how to handle weapons, self-defense. Give them all the information about how to grow food, how to become better suited for a survival situation. And of course, you can be a part of the leading group of this community. Then, at some point, after the long and without rule of law, without the after the WROL, some type of entity will grab the power vacuum. It could be remnants of the old government. It could be some parts of the military. It could be some parts of the police, the local police. It could be an armed militia that gathered around. It could be even a criminal gang. Either way, they are going to grab power and enforce an excessive rule of law, an EROL scenario, in which case there will be a zero tolerance justice system. Any pips would get harsh punishment because, to get out of anarchy, you have to be very, very strong. And after a while, there will be some sort of a revolt, some sort of an uprising, and a kind of a monarch would come and grab power and lead the people out of that into some sort of a monarchy. Very similar to what's happening in the Walking Dead, where all the people gather around and they pretty much crowned Rick to be their monarch, to be their leader. And this is what's gonna happen. And later, after some time, after a few years maybe, the monarch would decide to give his power back to the people and create a democracy again. So it will become back, we'll go full circle back to normalcy, back to democracy. So understanding the process, the cycle of power, we have to decide as people with the knowledge and the ability to decide for ourselves, of course. Each person needs to be the judge and decide if they want to join this newfound community, this newfound society, or go and be a lone wolf and stay in the outdoors as a very small community, or only yourself or your your close team together and be alone in the woods for the duration, as they say. Now let's talk about the interesting stuff. What do we do in case of zombies? As zombies get closer to you, zombies attack you. So let's start with what happens in general with the zombies. Zombies are basically blind, mindless drones. They stumble around they rely on a weak sense of smell. They have a very weak sense of they feel a bit of warmth. We can distract them easily. We can set traps for them to fall down. Even a wire trap to get them to trip down and fall on the ground would be very efficient with them. So it would be pretty easy to distract them with any loud noises. It would be pretty easy to camouflage yourself. You just place some rotten meat on yourself, either from a zombie or from other sources. Placing rotten meat on yourself and mimicking their movement would basically identify yourself as one of them, so they do not get attracted to you. Now, if you encounter 1, 2, maybe 3 zombies, you have to remember one thing. Most people would try to fight them off and all that. That, in my opinion, would be a waste of your energy, a waste of time, and also very dangerous, because when you focus on one zombie, the other one or the other 2 would attack you from the side. So what you need to do is basically trip them over. Throw anything you can find on their feet, either a heavy book or a chair or anything you can find. Even your backpack, you can take off your backpack and throw it at their feet, and they will trip on it and fall on the ground. Once they're on the ground, you can dispatch them easily using your knife. Go to the back of the skull, in the soft area in the back of the skull, and dispatch them. Do not try to stab them in the skull. It's very, very important. The skull is made out of this hard, spongy material, and once you stick the knife in there, it's gonna stay there. The knife is gonna stick, and you're probably gonna lose it in their head. Now, here is the biggest issue. Zombie infestation is called an infestation because they attack in swarms. Many of them. And if you have a group of more than 4 zombies, don't try to attack them. It would be pointless and useless, and it would be a waste of your energy. So unless you have a firearm, don't even try to attack them. Try to distract them. Use firecrackers, light a fire, light a gasoline somewhere, and try to distract them. They are very easily distracted. If you have a flare gun, it's a fantastic way to distract them. If you do have a firearm and it's a last ditch effort, you could shoot them in the head. But if you do use your weapon, remember that these loud sounds carry for miles and miles away. It would be like a beacon calling out for every other zombie out there. And not only that, it will call even hostile people who would hear your gun as an invitation, come to the shop to get my gear type of thing. So once you do use your gun, get yourself out of that area as soon as possible, because reinforcement, either zombies or hostile people, would be there very shortly afterwards. So to sum up, as always, preparation is the key. If you get ready now, if you learn all the skills and know what to do and have the plan ready for you and your team, then you'll have no problem and you know exactly what to do in case of a zombie outbreak. When everyone else around you would be panicking and confused and all that, you'll know exactly what to do. And just keep in mind the basics. Remember, shelter, fire, water, and food. If you remember the basics, you'll live a long and prosperous life, and it'll be fantastic. Once a society, once community gets along, join them or not join them, it will be your choice. And just know what's gonna happen. This will help you greatly in the future. And remember, it's a marathon and never a sprint. So never, ever give up. That is the main thing for any survival situation, and especially for a zombie apocalypse. Just never give up. Every day is a challenge. So take it head on. Now it's your turn. What would you do in case of a zombie apocalypse? What is your favorite tactic? And which stage that we spoke of is the most important in your opinion, and why? So leave a comment below. I love getting feedback from you, and I read every single one of your comments. Next, we have a special post for you. We went out to the archery range to prepare for our next book, Outdoor Preparations, and we went to a great day using bow and shooting arrows at 3D foam targets, and it was fantastic. Lots of good things are coming, so keep an eye out for next week's post. I can't wait to share all this with you, so until then, stay safe.